What's up, folks? Zen here. It is September 12th, and I was gathering the Jujube fruit, and I decided to shoot an end of summer wrap-up. I've been noticing amongst a lot of other YouTube growers that I've been chatting with and sharing videos with, a lot of them are canceling their accounts, shutting them down, not posting any updates. And the same happened with me. I wasn't going to shut down my account, but I didn't really feel like shooting updates anymore because of a lot of disappointments in growing. And that's the thing about first year gardeners. I forgot what the percentage is, but a high percentage of people that take up growing things end up getting quite disappointed and then quitting. And the trick is to grow enough things that you take in the good with the bad. So let's start with what we have here. This is my Asian plum tree, which isn't doing very well in its container. So next year, or actually this winter, I'm going to put it in the ground. Probably here because it's the pollinator for this Pluot, which is growing nicely. And this is one of my proudest accomplishments, is keeping this fruit punch mango healthy. If you look at my mango videos, you'll see the state it was in when I purchased it. It had anthracnose, complete leaf drop, but it's rejuvenated or restarted, and it's looking beautiful. And after the last frost, it will be put over here, which I've been piling compost on. So it's got a mound of compost. I've also got cactus, citrus soil mixed in, and then I covered it with this shredded wood mulch that the HOA had piled up down by the clubhouse. So I'm preparing this area for the mango tree. The problem with growing mangoes in this area of Southern California is the soil pH is rather high. The water that's over here is about a 7.8 pH. Mangoes like a nice 6 to 6.5 range. So I've been piling a bunch of organic material, compost, wood chip mulch, all this, and I'm going to let it settle down for a season, get a whole bunch of rain, neutral 7.0 pH rainwater, have this area ready, and then I will be putting the mango tree here, and I'm going to plant it above ground, so it's going to be mounded. This is the pomegranate tree. This year there's hardly any fruit on it. I talked to another grower. He said that the heavy rains also affected his pomegranate tree. Last year this probably held maybe 30 pomegranates. This year there's about 10. Alternately, speaking of alternately, because this is the persimmon tree, which had 6 persimmons last year, and this year quite a bit more. I don't know, maybe 20, 25 persimmons. It's alternate bearing. One year it's heavy, the other year is sparse. So I did a lot of thinning. There were a ton of flowers on this tree, and I thinned this tree of a lot of the blossoms and blooms. And the tree also self-thinned and dropped other persimmons. And this is what it's held. So about another month, I'll be harvesting the persimmons. That's one positive. Also, this is a volunteer. I'm going to let it grow and see if it establishes itself into a new tree. This persimmon tree is probably 20 years plus. It's starting to lean. There may be evidence of root rot down here because of all the watering it was getting before I took over this place. So, want to see what a volunteer tree will turn into. Also, the pomegranate's got a volunteer branch coming up. I'm letting this grow out. I also took 3 cuttings from this that I've got growing in other places. So, if I have any more issues with pomegranate bearing, I'll have at least 3 more bushes that will be producing pomegranates when they become mature. This is the passion fruit vine. It's been in the ground for about a year now. I planted it last summer. It's finally reached the top of the fence and starting to spread out. It's growing a lot slower than I expected it to, but it's able to actually hold on to 1 fruit. I had a total of 4 flowers so far, and I tried hand pollinating all of them, and only 1 fruit developed, but it's making more blooms and blossoms, so we'll try and see if we can get some more. But I'm excited. I've never had a passion fruit before, and this one actually bore 1 passion fruit. As I suspected, this poor Mandarin orange tree is in decline. It's only been able to create 2 fruit. Last year it had 6, and then it got attacked by leaf miners and all kinds of pests and parasites. And so it's time to go. I hate doing it because it's still alive, but it's not bearing any fruit. It's ailing and declining, so I cut off its water, and once all its leaves drop, I'm just going to chop it down and put in a new orange tree here. Also, the grapefruit tree is not bearing that much. This last time this year, it was loaded with grapefruit. This year, it probably has maybe 5 or 6 grapefruit. So I don't know if it's anything I'm doing or if it's also alternate bearing issues. Everything I tried growing in this growing pit got decimated by the rabbits around here. And that's what I'm doing in this garden now. I'm trying to figure out what I can grow out here that will grow out here, and that also the rabbits don't take a liking to. Apparently the rabbits like watermelon vines, because all the watermelon vines I had here were growing, and at the time I had a beehive here, and every bloom got pollinated. It had all these little cute little watermelons, little baby watermelons growing, and then the rabbits came through and chewed up all the vines, and all the watermelon is gone. And speaking of the beehive I had here, you can take a look at my video of me discovering this beehive and moving it out here. Unfortunately, I probably should have put it in a place that got more shade. Apparently the bees didn't like the new location I put it to because they evacuated this and moved on somewhere else. There may be remnants of some bees in here, but watch me open this and a ton of bees come out. Hello, Mr. Lizard. Yeah, got honeycombs here, but the bees have left. So my own little personal beehive is no longer. That really bummed me out. So nothing I grew out here really survived, except for some pepper plants that I shoved in here. And I shoved a tomato cutting here, San Marzano. Oh yeah, that's another thing. My giant tomato San Marzano heirloom tomato bush finally gave up the ghost. It was massive, just giving off massive tomatoes week after week. Massive amounts of tomatoes. It's gone now. I also had this avocado tree completely ringed with bush beans, and they were giving off a nice crop of beans until the rabbits discovered that they like beans too. And once they took a nibble and took a liking to it, they just decimated it. They came in here and just ate all my bush bean plants. And take a look. Here's one of the good things that happened is that my avocado tree has survived the summer. I transplanted this. It went into transplant shop. It dropped all its leaves, and then it was touch and go. I had to keep this thing covered during the weeks where the temperature hit about 95 to 100 degrees. So this year I made sure that it was shaded properly, that it got proper amounts of water, and it's restarted nicely. Look at all the new growth that's coming off of this thing. This thing was just a bare skeleton. This is my second avocado tree. This is a this is a Haas avocado tree. I previously had a lamb Haas here, which did the same thing. Went into transplant shock, and then I didn't protect it during a heat wave, and then it got damaged during the heat wave, and then come time when it was winter, when the frost first hit it, it died. So this avocado tree is in much better shape than the one that I had the previous summer. So hopefully this will make it. It's made it through the summer. And so then I just have to make sure that I protect it well during the winter. During those nights when it gets down to about 30 degrees out here. These are my summer squash plants, which gave off a prolific harvest of squash in the first couple months I had it, and now it's in its decline. Oh, excuse me. Still had an issue with a problem that some people have growing squash, where it will give off all male flowers and then all female flowers, and you never get to have a male and female flowers at the same time, which is what you need to have it pollinate. So I had to start gathering the pollen by hand with a paintbrush and pollinating the flowers. And now they're pretty much finishing out. I'm not even bothered trying to hand pollinate them anymore. If they get pollinated, so be it, but it's not really good. Hasn't really developed any squash in about a month now. So, and of course, the Jujube is prolific, as always. Tons of Jujubes. I mean, I've probably gathered at least 3 other bags full of Jujubes like this. Problem is, I'm not a big fan of Jujube. But my sister-in-law is, and my mother is, and her friends that are Taiwanese are fans of Jujube, so all I do is pick it for them. I'm glad somebody has an appreciation for them. It's just really not my thing. This is the 3-in-1 pear tree. It's doing nicely. All the newly planted trees that I put in this year, I've been hand watering. I fill up this container, this 55-gallon water drum. I pH it down to about 6.5 pH. I leave the lid off for about a day, let all the chlorine gas out, and then I just run a hose and trickle water all the trees that I planted this past winter, which is the Pluot, the Asian beauty plum, the fruit punch mango. Also, this is my UC157 asparagus bed. I was really concerned because I hadn't noticed any new growth since when I first planted them, probably in November of last year, and nothing was happening. I mean, it basically looked static. It looked the same way it's been until finally new growth started breaking through. And this is the first decent-sized spear that's come off of it. And then I started noticing more new little spears are coming up. New growth. New growth. So the asparagus bed is fine. I thought there was something wrong with it. I was wondering why it wasn't pushing forth any new spears, but it's starting to push forth spears now. And of course, the thing that bummed me out the most is my harvest, or my cannabis plants, which have all grown small and gone into early flower. So these plants are about half the size that they should be, and they're not going to get any bigger. They're just finishing up right now. Tried an experiment with doing it in ground. They didn't grow any more prolific in ground than they were in pots. But it's good to know that they are able to grow well in ground with just nutrients like fish kelp emulsion, earthworm castings, and the like. But still, all my cannabis has ended up stunted. I mean, the three plants that I successfully grew last year are probably going to end up producing just as many buds as I have with these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have another one over there. 6 plants. I mean, look how straggly this one is. This one was grown in ground. Didn't grow that much. What else? I've been trying to grow Malabar spinach. I've been trying to grow all kinds of vines along this fence area just to provide some kind of privacy and coverage. I had Malabar spinach vines here. The rabbits love Malabar spinach, so that's a no-go. This is Acerola Barbados cherry shrub. That is doing quite nicely. The rabbits were gnawing at it at first, and I put a protective shield around the base, and now they're leaving it alone. I was able to remove that protective shield. This grapevine is a disappointment. It's been in here since winter, and this is all it's grown. I've seen videos where through the summer, people who have table grapevines, I mean, I just watched them grow and just spread out, 10, 20, 30 feet. And this is all this poor grapevine has managed to do this year. No fruit whatsoever. Here's the guava tree. It's forming guavas. They'll probably be ready in about a month, month and a half. So no problem with the guavas or the jujubes or the persimmons, all the established trees, except for that pomegranate, which isn't producing. The orange tree, which is going to be replaced by a new one. The grapefruit tree, which isn't doing too well. But I'm happy that my avocado tree has managed to survive the summer and is starting to fill out. And hopefully it'll make it past this winter. And I'm really looking forward to February, March, when I'm able to finally put this fruit punch mango tree in the area that I've prepared for it, and it will continue to be watered with this pH water that I keep here. So I'm going to keep this rainwater barrel here, and I'll use it exclusively to water this mango tree. And that's what we have so far here. End of summer here in Zen's garden. All right, people. Have yourselves a very good summer day.